Hello, BookTube. That was a change of location, as you can see. I'm in the little book room with a wall of penguins behind me. The result of me complaining earlier today to my one remaining muscular teenager about how hot and humid it was, about how even with a fan going, the humidity was making relaxing impossible. Same thing I was complaining to you about. And he said, dude, why don't you just put your air conditioner in? You're going to have to do it eventually. Out of the mouths of babes. He was absolutely right. So I said, great idea. Get over here. To which his response was, dude. Apparently, he's enjoying something called a weekend. So he came over, and the air conditioner is in the window, and it's made a world of difference. And since it's perked up my spirits, and since it's stopped my sweet, frail, old dog from just sitting there going, since we're both comfortable, I kind of feel like I owe you a mail haul, because that last one was so contentious. And so I have more packages, and I'm in complete air-conditioned comfort. So I thought we'd go through them and maybe have better luck this time. So I'll start with this one. It's a tiny little thing. Might be a slim volume of poetry. That would not be a good beginning, but I'm going to try and be more positive. So let's see what this is. Oh! It's a romance! It's a Regency romance! Oh my god! Oh, the things that air conditioners can do! Okay, this comes out in late July. It's by the great Megan Frampton, and it's called Lady Be Bad. It's the first in a series, a Duke's Daughters novel. Oh my. Alright, what have we got here? Once upon a time, a duke had 5 daughters who never made a stir. They practiced their French, their pianoforte, and their dancing. Until one ran off with the dancing instructor and the rest were left to face the scandal. Lady Eleanor, the Duke of Merrymount's eldest daughter, knows the burden is hers. She must marry well to restore the family name. So a loveless match is made, and her fate is set. But then Eleanor meets her intended's rakish younger brother. The rakish younger brothers are always trouble. With his tawny hair, green eyes, and scandalous behavior, Lord Alexander Rayborn makes her want to be very bad indeed. With his very honorable sibling too busy saving the world to woo Eleanor, Alexander is tasked with finding out her likes and dislikes for his elder brother. But the more time he spends with the secretly naughty Eleanor, helping her tick off all the things on her good list for being bad, the more he knows that they want and need each other. Lady Be Bad. Oh my. Okay, very good. All right, let's move on. What is this next one? Oh, okay, this is the kind of mail haul I like. This is from Thames and Hudson. This comes out in September, and it is called The Unfinished Palazzo. Life, Love, and Art in Venice by Judith McCrell. And it's, I believe it was excerpted in the latest Vanity Fair. So I think I probably know what this is kind of about. Commissioned in 1750, the Palazzo Vanier was planned as a testimony to the power and wealth of a great Venetian family, but the project was abandoned with only one story complete. Empty and decaying, the unfinished palazzo was an eyesore for over a century until it came to be inhabited by the very different women whose stories are told in this gripping book. Louisa Casati, Doris Castleross, and Peggy Goodenheim, in turn, used the unfinished palazzo as a stage on which to refashion her life, each making the building famous or notorious in her own way. Oh man, oh man. Okay. All right, very nice. I don't know if you can tell, but the title has a lovely gold inlay. So we're 2 for 2, and that's in the fall. Then we'll move on to this one here. What have we here? This also feels kind of small. Oh, okay, great. This is a novel by Francesc Miralles, translated by Julie Wark. It's the title in English is Wabisabi. Can you see that? We'll get this. We'll get the angles right for this room because I have a feeling I'll be filming here quite often. It's a novel translated let's see here. It started, this is the description. It started when Samuel receives an anonymous postcard containing a picture of a porcelain cat with its left front paw raised and the words Wabisabi handwritten with a very fine nib. Unable to decipher the identity of the sender, the meaning of Wabisabi, and the intent of the postcard, Samuel decides to heed the advice of his trusted neighbor and fly to Japan in search of his mysterious pen pal. And this publishing sheet calls the author, Francesc Morales, a best-selling author. Is that right in Spain? Those of you who are in Spain, have you heard of this author? He was born in Barcelona and has written many best-selling books and received several prestigious literary awards. And a book called Love in Small Letters is his most famous and acclaimed book to date. Now I'm curious, is this that book? No, this was called Wabisabi in Spanish, it looks like. Well, now I want to know about this author. I will Google him, but I much prefer to ask the rest of you. So this comes out in late July. Wabisabi, a novel. So let's move on. What is this next one here? Ooh, good. This is by Nick Enfield. This is How We Talk. The inner workings of conversation. How does conversation work? We tend to think of words as the raw material of conversation, but in fact, conversation would be impossible if it weren't for a series of other elements that we often overlook. Though our teachers scolded us over the use of uh-huh, oh, like, and mm-hmm, these interjections are fundamental to how we actually speak. And yet how many booktubers labor for how many hours every single week to eliminate them? When this book is telling you that not only are they natural for you to say, they're natural for other people to hear, which you shouldn't need a book to tell you. Plus, all the booktubers who say that they do that say that one of the goals is to make themselves better at speaking extemporaneously in front of a camera. Well, how are you going to get better at that if you know that you're going to be spending hours tediously crawling through your own footage, editing out everything you don't like, instead of doing the mental preparation to make sure those things aren't there in the first place? I'm sure. So as our author argues, language is not simply a tool for spreading information. In fact, whether you're speaking with a clerk at a Starbucks, your boss, or your spouse, what language does at the deepest level is enable cooperation. Relying on a system of to and fro that is powered by the most innocuous bits of our language, things so commonplace like a rising tone of voice, a nearly meaningless word, or a glance that we hardly pay any conscious attention to them. Nevertheless, they are the essence of how we speak. Oh. See, a book like How We Speak, The Inner Workings of Conversation could be so dumb. It's the kind of fake nonfiction book that I rail against on this channel all the time. I'm sure that within the next 2 years we will see an example of it. A book, it won't be by Basic Books, but it'll be some lesser publisher, which will be a history of the word, of the expression This seems the exact opposite of that. This seems to have a brain in its head. I can't wait. I'm a big fan of conversation. So let's see. Let's go on to the next one here. We don't in a box, but I put the cardboard thing at the bottom as sort of an approximation. What is this next one? Oh. Okay. Our next one is a presidential biography. This is by A.J. Baim, and it's The Accidental President. It's the presidency of Harry Truman. Harry Truman and the 4 months that changed the world. He is a New York Times bestselling author of The Arsenal of Democracy and Go Like Hell. And both of them are apparently in productions to be movies. He's a longtime regular contributor to the Wall Street Journal. Let's see here. This is the dramatic, pulse-pounding story of Harry Truman's first 4 months in office. Pretty sure that dramatic and pulse-pounding have never been used before in connection with Harry Truman. So this is his first 4 months in office. Heroes are often defined as ordinary characters who get thrust into extraordinary circumstances and through courage and a dash of luck cement their place in history. Chosen as FDR's 4th-term vice president for his well-praised work ethic, good judgment, and lack of enemies, Harry Truman was the prototypical ordinary man, still considered an obscure Missouri politician. That is, until he was shockingly thrust in over his head after FDR's sudden death. At the climactic moments of the Second World War, Truman had to play judge and jury during the founding of the United Nations, the Potsdam Conference, the Manhattan Project, the Nazi surrender, and the liberation of concentration camps, and the decision to drop the bomb and end World War II. Tightly focused, meticulously researched, and using documents not available to previous biographers. Now see? The accidental president escorts readers into the Situation Room with Truman during his tumultuous history-making 120 days. And you see, a claim like that, documents previously not available to historians, immediately makes me want to go to the back of the book and figure out what those are. There is nothing important about Harry Truman that has not been available to previous scholars that I know of. I could be wrong. Truman is not one of the 10 or so American presidents that I would know off the top of my head. Although I know quite a bit about him. I've read every major biography. It looks like this will be a major biography. And there is no way to exonerate him for his decision regarding the atomic bombs. His decision to use atomic bombs in warfare. There's no way to exonerate him for that. He had all the information he needed to know not to do that. And he did it anyway. I think that is the face of a monster in history, but a lot of Americans don't think that. I'm always willing to give a new biography a try. So let me move on to this last one here. Oh, very nice. Okay, this is the finished copy of How to Be Human, which is something we've seen on this channel before, about a woman and a fox. I think I read this. Let me read it again to you. When Mary Green first spotted him, she was sure he winked at her. A fox. Her fox. With this one gesture, a line of communication opened between them. In this debut novel, it explores the themes of wildness and civilization, loneliness and connection. Utterly original and highly seductive, the novel's origin was mundane enough. But the novel's origin is not utterly original and highly seductive. The novel is meant to be the subject of that. The author, who lives in London, was clearing an area in her backyard when she noticed a fox, a common sight in her area. But this fox seemed to believe the land belonged to him and returned frequently to disrupt the efforts. This experience sparked the idea of a character, Mary Green, who becomes obsessed with a fox to whom she feels a deep connection as the rest of her life is unraveling. She's just emerged from a failed long-term relationship, finds herself alone in a now sparsely furnished house. Her job is not going well, and her friendship and relationship with her ex-fiancé, family, and neighbors are increasingly strained. Every time the fox shows up, Mary is further convinced he's there for her. This is... I read this. I read the advanced copy, and I was quite charmed by it. I thought it made some first novel mistakes, but I very much liked it. And I would be happy to read it again. And there's a picture of a fox, in case you're unclear on the concept. They're my people, and I've met many of them. But I don't advise you. They can be quite skittish, and they can nip. They won't. The fox hasn't been born that would ever nip me. I'm actually probably the only booktuber who's ever had his face smooched by a wild fox. But I wouldn't advise. They can be bold. I wouldn't advise you to get too close to them. All right, so this comes out. Oh, okay. This comes out in early May. It's late June. That's all right. That's okay. I haven't written about it anywhere, and I probably should. So this. There you go. So that's it. That is our redemption mail haul here. This is How to Be Human. The Accidental President, about Harry Truman. One of a spate of presidential biographies coming out for the rest of this year. Just there's a whole shelf of them. How We Talk, about the inner workings of conversation. Wabisabi, Man with a Mystery Correspondent. Then we've got the Unfinished Palazzo. We'll put that on the bottom. A grand Venetian story. I think one fraction of it was excerpted in Vanity Fair, but I'll check that to make sure. And Lady Be Bad. About a troublemaking younger brother. And there you go. Now that was much more civilized. And I'll see you soon, BookTube. Thank you.